stumbled upon a podcast, which was actually Sean Terry's at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
So before you get into that, right? So,
hmm
so you said your background. So you went to college for this.
Yes.
You have a degree in
Finance.
finance.
Yeah.
Went to college, got a
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
dream job,
Yeah, I was on Wall Street. So
on the
it was
way to
my
dream job.
Yeah, yeah. It was like my dream that I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about, seeing $100 million wire. So like for me, in my part of my real estate journey was I was working with, all these different ways of doing real estate, but one of them was selling properties to hedge funds.
Mm-hmm.
And so Blackstone was a pretty big fund.
Big boy.
And so they sent over this proof of funds. Like, hey, we want to buy your property. Like, okay, like, what do you got? I was like, let me see the proof of funds, right? Comes over, it's like $86 million. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Same thing, like,
Yeah.
crap, I'm poor.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about you got fired. Before we talk about Sean Terry, let's talk about
Sure.
what got you fired.
Yeah. That's a great question. So I was young, obviously, dumb, and my whole life I've watched Wall Street. It was a passion of mine. It was a goal. It was an ambition. And when I got there, you always see the movies and this and that, and Wall Street, where streets are paved with gold and this and that, and you really could hustle your way if you work hard. In New York, an average week for me was 100 hours a week. That was no problem. I slept on beneath my desk. That was standard.
Really?
For that world, yeah. I mean, it really is. You sleep in your office, especially when you're starting out. I mean, they treat you like shit, and
So
it's expected.
so it's just like boiler room.
It's just, a little bit. That's more of like a sales room, and that was a little pump and dump. But yeah, it really,
But they treat you like you are the bottom.
Yeah,
You deserve to be at the bottom until you prove yourself.
yeah, and it's more Merrill Lynch is a great company. It's not like they go out of their way, like to violate HR or anything like that. But it's more like a rite of passage, and the guys that are 20, 30 years senior, they've been through that. They've been through worse. So I guess it would be like the military, so to speak, right? Where like you got to eat shit for a while till you graduate. But yeah, you start seeing people fail out real quick. So I was always talking to my boss. His name was Jay, and I won't say his last name. But I was always talking to him, and I was trying to push. And I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Hey, could I do more? Hey, could I, I am right now with my own business, but in the corporate world.
You're trying to push the envelope.
Yeah. And, 24-year-old punk kid, I didn't have a beard, nothing at the time. So I probably seemed very annoying. So it got to a point where one day he told me in a conversation, he's like, listen, I understand what you're trying to do, but you really need to stay in your lane. And that irked the shit out of me. And I just kept pushing. And one day he told me, he's like, look, either I'm going to fire you or you just stop, fall in line. This is it. Just ride the wave, until otherwise. And I told him, I won't say what I said, but I said some not nice words, and I got fired. So that was
So you did not stay in your lane.
I did not stay in my lane. I veered off the lane. So yeah, that happened.
All right. So then you happen upon Sean Terry's podcast. So what year was this exactly?
So I got fired in late 2015, maybe early 2016, if I remember correctly.
All right.
At that time, I had a friend because I moved back in with my mom. So now this is like a depressing stage of my life.
Back in Florida?
Back in Florida.
Okay.
So now I'm back home with my mom. She's an immigrant. She's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? You can't live here for free. And I didn't
That's not why we came to America.
Yeah, this is not why we came here. You better get your shit together.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I had a friend who was buying and selling diabetic testing strips. And I know this is going to sound a little out of left field, but at the time I told him, I was like, hey, I'll put up the bandit signs. And I didn't know anything about bandit signs, but I would literally go out in the middle of the night. I'd put up these bandit signs, and I'd take the calls in the morning with my business partner at the time. And as I was doing this, I would listen to podcasts. And one time, I remember Sean Terry's, I think it was Flip to Freedom, was the podcast. And I heard a guy in Miami that was on an interview that he had flipped like a bunch of real estate. He was like 2 years younger than me at the time. So I heard the podcast like 3 times. And he left his office number there. So I cold called his office. I lied to his secretary. And when I got him on the phone, I told him, I was like, look, you don't know me. I don't know you. Just please don't hang up. If you teach me what you know about this business, I'll split my first 5 deals with you 50-50. And there's kind of a moment of silence. And he said, can you come in tomorrow at 11? And I was there, and that was that. I bankrolled everything off of credit cards, and that was that.